We are live now.
Aloha, aloha, Charlie. How are you, my man?
Doing fine. Aloha, Mel. Aloha, everyone.
Welcome, everybody. I want to say aloha to everybody and thank you for joining us tonight on this wonderful Friday night.
Yes. Are we left stream medium or right stream medium? Which one are we tonight?
Oh God, Charlie. Hang on. Let me start this thing here. I'm gonna start my engines. No, what is today? Today is Tuesday. Tuesday, and uh, I want to thank first of all. I want to thank you, Charlie, again for last night. What an amazing show we had last night with
Uh,
Dr. Akhtar what's his first name?
First name is
Mufasa? Yeah,
Akhtar.
Akhtar. Um, he was awesome. You guys enjoyed it, and we definitely learned a lot. But the most I got out of hang on, let me get my new graphic. Anyway, what I got out of that is honestly last night after we got off the call and I felt his sincere, genuine empathy for people. He talked about when we talked about the death of COVID patients, he focused on dying alone. He focused on losing your loved one without having the opportunity to go say goodbye. And
Not
I
only
mean,
that,
he has seen a lot of death, and but it's just amazing where his heart is, and that, to me was just touching. I don't know if it's like this for you, Charlie, but a lot of times because we're facilitating the show, we're reading comments, paying attention to the speaker. A lot of times it doesn't hit me until after the show. That's why, like you, Charlie, for me, I'm exhausted after the show,
well, let me
and then
tell you,
it really hits afterwards.
last night there was a point in time, and maybe I was glad people said I was too dark, couldn't see. And maybe it was because I was crying he brought something that, I kind of reflected that my brother was alone. We couldn't be with him. Uh, I'm just wondering if he was scared when he first went in. It's stuff like that. I mean, but I hope he knows. I mean, honestly, I cannot tell, but I hope he knows that we loved him and we missed him, but it just we weren't there, and it's just, man, it's just. But what else I took away from last night, Mel, was the fact that not only about COVID deaths, but because COVID will take over the emergency rooms, someone that has something serious that caused them to go to the ER that's not COVID related, they may end up dying because there's no space. And he made that very known. He said, it's basically a two-way street. It can be COVID, it can be not COVID. But whoever gets to that ER first, that's basically what I took. And he made a lot of sense. So, for those who look at, well, let's look at the recovery rate. Yeah, sure. But when they had the COVID and yeah, they recovered now, but did they take up a space that could have been used for somebody else who had maybe a heart condition? And that person never got a chance to get treated, so he ended up dying. You know, so that perspective was all kind of brought into place when he talked about it last night. It was all
And
brought.
we didn't hear that from anybody else. It was we've had a lot of doctors on the show, and no one ever brought that part of it up. Where you cannot just count COVID deaths; you got to count all the other deaths that are happening because, like you said, Charlie, hospital rooms, IC room units, ventilators are all being used, and we talk about this. These things are happening on the mainland, and I think maybe a lot of people in Hawaii don't think it'll ever happen here. But if you saw Josh Green's Lieutenant Governor, Dr. Josh Green's statement this morning, over half of our IC units are being used right now. Over half of the state's available IC units are in use. Not all by COVID, because remember, we deal with patients that aren't COVID. Now that if that isn't waking some people up, I don't know what to say. I don't know what to say. And as we watch this storm, this COVID storm come in, it's almost like watching the hurricane that is zigging and zagging, and everybody just thinks, it's not going to hit us. Well, it's hitting us already, and we're seeing the numbers. We're seeing all of the ramifications. If you watch Mayor Caldwell's public or a press conference today, Charlie, I don't know if you got to see it, but that is a very scared man. I mean, he is begging the people. You see, he cannot shut down his island until he gets permission from the governor. But what I thought he was going to shut it down today, because I know they had a meeting. The governor and the mayors all met. I had the way he was delivering his message, I thought he was going to shut it down. But it sounds like this is the final warning for Oahu, that it's going to happen, people. And yet, some people still not taking it seriously. People still congregating. I have a good friend right now at home waiting for test results because he's got symptoms on Kauai. I pray, and I ask for, obviously I'm not going to mention names, but I ask all of you to say a prayer for everybody that is waiting at home tonight for a test result, for everybody that has been informed that they're positive, for everybody that has COVID and is in the hospital. Say a prayer for them tonight, because I tell you, last night brought a different perspective, the human side of it. I know one of my best friends from school, he lost his mom to cancer a couple months ago, and he was telling me how they, because of COVID, they weren't allowed to go say their goodbyes in person. They were behind a glass window, and he was begging the nurse, please bring my mom out to the lanai. She doesn't have COVID. We don't have COVID. No. Say your goodbyes, right? And this guy is a tough dude, and he cried. And that's the side I think people better wake the hell up and realize, because this thing it's turning. See, that's the thing, Charlie. We always said it can get bad real quick, right? We always said that for months. Everyone has been saying this thing can get bad real quick. Okay, so it's bad right now. It's bad. It has now become an endemic. It's a pandemic globally, but for Hawaii, it's not an epidemic, it's an endemic, meaning Hawaii is now in a stage of an endemic, which is bad. And we are losing control of this virus. So now is the time to pull the trigger. And that's what I don't understand, Charlie. I'm having a hard time understand what is the governor waiting for. He comes out today, he says we may have to push the opening of schools back. We may have to push back the opening of tourism. What are you waiting for? For more deaths? I don't. That's the part I struggle with, Charles. I struggle with this so much because, and Mayor Caldwell basically called out the governor today. He put up the chart. He put up the chart when we had 34 cases, and if you look at the graph, it was about that big. And he said that is when we shut everything down. And now the graph is that big, and we're talking about opening things up. So we're there. And you heard Dr. Akhtar last night. I mean, he didn't even let me finish my question. You could already see him shaking his head. There was absolutely no hesitation in his response. Hell no, you don't want to bring in the tourists from the mainland.
Well, you know what? I like what he said. It was real simple. And this address all people on the left and on the right of the issue. Right? What did he say last night? Just don't catch COVID. So whether you're on the left of the issue, on the right of the issue, it applies to all of us. Okay. If you feel a need that you have to go to a restaurant, what did he say? No, don't go to a restaurant. But if you, for some reason, you want to go to a restaurant, one, make sure you're seated about 30 feet away from somebody else. Because if it's there, you're going to get it. Why? Because you're being exposed. Enclosed area and exposure. So he said the best thing you can do is don't get it. Then what was even more interesting, he says, all about the rights of a mask, wearing a mask. Well, remember before we use seatbelts, we don't purposely go out on the road and hope to get thrown from a car and get run over and get killed, right? But we use the seatbelts, and studies have shown seatbelts dramatically save lives. So it became a new norm, right?
Hmm.
But you don't see anybody picketing about seatbelts. And so it was
That's
it was just very simple. His approach was simple. His
yeah.
approach
Well,
was simple.
I don't know where. Tonight our guest, we Sherry Amimoto. Um, she's from KCC, I guess. Yeah. Yeah, she works at Kauai Community College. Suggested or asked if I would, consider that maybe we bring on the chancellor from KCC. COVID brings a lot of issues. And by the way, today we had a student from Punahou. We had a student from, was it Sacred Hearts?
Sacred Hearts.
And I just got an update right now. Star Advertiser just came out with a breaking news. Staff member at Iliahi Elementary in Wahiawa just test positive. But this COVID crisis, this pandemic has created all kinds of problems for elementary, middle school, high schools, and colleges and universities. And I thought that this would be an opportunity for us to bring on the chancellor and the vice chancellor, Joseph Daisy and Calvin Shirai, to share with us what the college is doing. This is such a great opportunity now to increase the enrollment at KCC. I think many of us went to KCC. My daughter went to KCC, got her associates at KCC. But now, because of the online opportunities, we can actually have students from around the state come to Kauai Community College.
Oh,
And I'm
Kauai.
hoping that he'll cover that tonight, but I'm kind of worried that he's not here. And I'm going to try to shoot him an email. I sent him the link, but anyway, this is an opportunity for our kids and adults to go back to school and go get a degree or go get a certificate in something that you're interested in. It could help you in your job. So I'm
Yes.
looking forward to tonight if we can find him and get him on.
Remember
So
now
let me
that
go do this, Charlie, while you take over for a little bit.
No, that's Kauai Community College. Somebody over here thought we were talking about Kentucky chicken cacciatore. No, we're talking about Kauai Community College. But there is a question. There has been always a question. And the best way to view it is our summer school program. I definitely know, just based on what I saw, they really took great measures to keep the kids safe. Okay. But those kids still had gotten infected with the virus. So it's not known if they got infected the virus at the location or they brought it into the summer school program. Okay. So I don't want anybody to think that, oh boy, here we go. But what I will say is I know for those classes, I've seen different safety models, some with plexiglass, some with homemade dividers. Okay. Right now, if they're gonna try it, I say, try whatever you can. Just short of saying no, my kid's not gonna go to school. You just try whatever you can. If you're electing to send your kid, all I'm gonna say is please do not send your kid to school unarmed. Get them a face shield. That's why we thank all of you out there that answered the call and donated funds. We've got the order in, and we're gonna get the face shields up here for those who cannot afford a face shield. Get your child with a face shield and then wear a mask. You can start with that. But you're going to have to learn about disinfecting. When you get out of school, you're going to have to disinfect before you get in the house. Now, if you're in especially our Filipino community, I know that for a fact. I see it in Waipahu. Okay. I saw it in Eva Beach. I see it in downtown Kalihi. You have multi-generations living under one roof. You folks are going to have to disinfect. That's going to be the new norm because you might have grandma and grandpa living with you and innocently get this virus, and then things going to become difficult at that point, and that's where you don't want to be. So you're going to have to get all of those things in line. So I know it's mind boggling. There's going to be so many things that you got to think about. The best thing that I would tell you is think safety first. What is the most safest thing you can do? If you're not prepared to send your child to school, don't send your child to school. You need to prepare yourself. You need to be on your A game because this is one time in life. There is no room for mistakes. I'm going to tell you that now. And like we said when we first opened up the show tonight, what Dr. Akhtar hit home was the fact that, hey, it's not only about COVID. COVID will dominate the ERs, and therefore there will not be space for other medical issues that might be life threatening because those available spaces will be taken up by COVID. Okay? So basically, what I'm saying is there's many stuff out there that we can die from: COVID, heart attacks, kidney disease, you know, liver disease, cancers. But the thing is, we need to space everything apart so there's room that everything can be handled. We need that. And by playing with COVID dangerously, all you're gonna do is increase the numbers to flood the hospitals with bodies that otherwise could have been used for space could have been for maybe a heart patient that was medevac from Kauai to Oahu. Okay, stuff like that. So this is not thinking out of the box. This is just being practical at this point. Just being practical.
Yeah, I'm just hoping that that the parents will understand, the teachers. I mean, we're getting comments already from teachers talking about, one teacher was talking about having to wear her mask through 3 back-to-back meetings, and by the end of the day, her throat was sore, and then another one talked about, when these little kids come in kindergarten and it's their first time going to school, and you know how it is, they miss their mommy or their daddy, and the teachers are usually there to hug them, and that's just not going to happen because of
Yeah.
COVID. What do you do with these kids? You tell them sit there and cry, and sorry, keep your mask on. And someone was telling us about I don't know where I heard it. I may have been watching it on the news or some, maybe watched it, but that some of the psychologists are concerned that you know how kids are. If you keep telling them, no, you cannot do this, no, you cannot do that, stay away from your friend, don't touch that, wash your hands, blah, it affects the young kids psychologically, and they actually have a disorder or a diagnosis for kids that experience that in their early developing years, where they're constantly being told no, 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 and so there's a lot of things that we got to deal with, and our kids, unfortunately, is gonna have to, again, the new normal, right? This.
Right. Right.
I hate that word, but it is what it is. I mean, COVID is going to be around for a while, and we're going to have to coexist, and that's going to be it's going to be a problem. It's going to be a challenge, and I feel for our kids. I feel for our kids who's going to miss that social aspect of school. I mean, my gosh, that's the years, those kindergarten, first, second grade, running around the playground, playing tag. I mean, all of that stuff cannot be done. How you stop a kid from doing that? How you stop a group of kids that haven't seen each other for months, and now they're going to see their old friends for the first time, and yet you cannot go near them? That's just going to be rough.
Well,
It's going to
kids
be
will
rough.
be kids, and you cannot fault them for that. They always say that children are innocent, and that's so true. That's so true. But one thing
You know,
that I will say that I hope we all can get past is the fact that no matter what happens outside, It will be very interesting to see what the rates of influenza or this flu season will be. Because I think of all the caution that we are taking right now, I really think those numbers will be probably the lowest in history because we're taking extra precautionary measures. So there shouldn't be any reason, just by masking up, it's having some, I mean, more than some, it's having a great effect. But I would like to see what the numbers will be like, what it will be like.
Yeah, well, I hope so. I'm just double checking my email to make sure I sent them to the right link, and I did. So I sent this to him. Sorry, guys, on August 1st. So, okay, Patsy's doing her magic right now, using her investigative skills to track him down. And we'll give him a couple of minutes, and then really, you know what I would like to do, Charlie? I would like to. I know we got a bunch of teachers on.
Yes.
I would love to have a teacher come on. Sorry for the impromptu. Um, oh, Warren Haruki. I'd love to have Warren Haruki on, but if we got any teachers on there that wants to come on, I know everybody's shame, but I would love to hear a perspective, the perspective from a teacher, uh, because I mean I
I
think
have
that
one right
you
here.
remember last night the doctor said the one group of people that the politicians are forgetting to talk to are the teachers. Powerful and so true. Um, so again, I think the teachers should be a very, very important, integral part of the discussion and decision making.
Yes.
So let me go
You
track
know,
down a teacher here.
I'm reading a good sweetheart of ours, Marianne Manintin. She said if we teach them, they must wear. That will prepare kids. But if you think about it this way, growing up, trick or treat, you always look forward to wearing a mask. And sometimes, couple days, like when I became a grandparent, my granddaughter, she just wanted to wear her costume and her mask days before, and there was no problem. Sometimes you might have to teach the kid that this is sort of like trick or treat, but it's a trick or treat to save lives and get them into the mode that, let's see who can come to school with the best looking mask. Make something out of it. So give them that ability to want, hey, I want to show my friends I get the better looking mask, right? And let's see how that goes. I mean, I don't know. I'm just thinking outside of the box and try to do something because again, when we keep kids apart, it's that socializing process, right? Having the one-on-one or a group. But again, we know that there's dangers involved. But we got to get our kids back to some sense of normalcy, even if it's on the slightest degree. We got to show them that there is light at the end of the tunnel and we're moving towards it. By just sitting back and not doing nothing, if adults start showing fear, tell me the kids not going to feel the mommy and daddies are scared. Then the kids going to start getting scared. Then next thing you know, the whole family unit going to collapse. And I don't think that's what we want. I definitely know that I don't want that for my family. Even
Yeah.
though I may be scared, but you hold up that front, right? You stand in front of your kids and say, "No worry, Dad, get up. I'm tough. Yet I'm over here crying inside, go inside a bathroom and cry like a baby. What the hell am I going to do?" It's. I mean, that's reality. But you wanna put on a good front and you wanna make it the best that you can.
Yeah. Well, I think a lot of parents right now are going through a lot of anxieties and
Mm.
a lot of stress. I remember dropping off my son. This is almost embarrassing to share, but I will. When he was his first year in college, and I remember dropping him off and driving out of the parking lot. This is on the mainland, and just bawling like a baby, and he's my son. Um, but we worry about them, we care about them, want the best for them, and then now you throw this whole COVID uh, problem in the way. It's just creates more issues for
Well, I tell
everybody.
you one thing.
I I I did want to. I know some people are talking about the masks. I just want to let everybody know that we raised almost $5,000
Thanks to
Um,
you.
all of you folks, thank you so much. That'll get us 5 cases, 500 masks, and Dr. T's tossing in a case, 600 masks. And we're working on getting it to Kauai right now. And we did make contact with someone through FedEx. So we should hopefully, hopefully we'll get that masks or the shields, I should say, the keiki shields on Kauai next week and do the distribution. Still don't know how we're gonna. Okay, Joe is going to log on now. He must have forgot, or maybe
Well,
yeah, I don't know what's
before
going
we do
on.
that, before we bring him on, I'd like to share with our audience. Today was a most touching ceremony that I've been to in a long time. I was asked by Senator Kaali'i Kahele from the Big Island if there was any way I could meet him today because he's also a lieutenant colonel in the Hawaii Air Guard. Today was the day we bid a fond aloha to the men and women of the Hawaii National Guard who was deployed to Kauai to help with the pandemic. Seeing that big C-17 coming in over the horizon from Kalapake into the airport, into the runway, was a sight to behold because 4 engines rumbling. And I didn't know that aircraft was specially made to take off and land on short runways. But when the thing throttled up, the ground shook. And then when it pulled in, it was like a King Kong movie. The closer it got, the bigger it got. And the plane spun around. The Okole faced it, faced the fence where we were all standing. And I literally cried to see the men and women getting to attention, the back opening up, lowering down, and guess who's the first one off the plane? Our senator from the Big Island, the pilot, Senator Kahele. And to see that smiling face come off the plane, giving everybody the shaka. I mean, this guy, he hasn't seen his family in a while because he's been on federal duty over at Haema. And just to see him, he came up, I hugged him, and he greeted the mayor, Representative Tokioka. The Kauai Police Department gave a gift, kukui not lay with the police medallion, to every single one of the soldiers and thanked them. And one by one, they loaded up into the plane. It was a sight to behold. And then when that was done, Kai just gave us one shaka sign, and the okole of the plane just closed up and they took off. I wish everybody could have been there today. But I just want to send a big shout out to the Hawaii National Guard and the Air National Guard, Hawaii Air National Guard, for all that they have done for the island of Kauai. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you for sharing, Charles. Yeah, that C-17 is a beautiful aircraft. I've seen those things land on a short runway. I've seen them take off on a short runway. That things are beautiful birds. And here is Mr. Daisy.
Mel,
What
my
happened?
deepest apologies.
Man, I started to think I gave you the wrong date. I'm like, oh my God, I'm gonna go back, check my email. I said, nope.
No, no. All my fault. My apologies. Aloha and deep mahalo for inviting me to your show. I'm just glad. Actually, Sherry reached out to me and said, Mel's waiting for you. Where are you? And I said, oh my gosh, completely fell off my
Sherry's
radar screen. I apologize.
No problem. Sherry's husband is my wife's boss. So she contacted her boss to tell Sherry to contact you because we're worried. Every time we cannot find somebody, we think something bad happened, But I got to tell you, we promoted this show, and right now we have over 200 live viewers, which is
Wow.
It usually takes a while to ramp up. So there's a ton of people waiting to hear your message. So we're not going to waste any time. That's Uncle Charlie, the big Hawaiian dude.
Aloha.
Aloha, Charlie. How are you?
Hi, Mel. So Chancellor Daisy, if you wouldn't mind sharing a little bit about yourself, do a short introduction and tell us what's going on with KCC, with the COVID pandemic, and what opportunities, whatever. The show is yours, so the time is all you.
So, Mel, thanks so much and Charlie for inviting me on. I have been looking forward to talking story with all of you and your viewers as well. I started today my 7th month on the job as chancellor. So I started on February 3rd, and the former chancellor, Helen Cox, who's a friend and colleague of mine, said, you know, we have a unique opportunity to develop a transition plan that will provide continuity to the community. So we got started really strong, and all of a sudden, mid-March, you know, COVID-19 hits and everything comes to a grinding halt, and we all pivot to remote instruction at the college and remote kind of reaching out to the community. And I just want to say that I am completely impressed and honored to be chancellor at Kauai Community College. The efforts of the faculty and the staff during this time to adapt and help our students to be successful, I'm just in awe. They're remarkable people. I'm really coming to learn the value of KCC with Kauai community and its relationship with the community. I mean, I still have so much to learn about this community, the system itself, but everybody, whether it's in person or remote, has just been so welcoming to me and helpful and supportive and kind. You know, a lot of folks have said, wow, Joe, you know, you signed on for something you weren't expecting, and here it is in a few months, you know, a few weeks in, and everything just changes and flips upside down. And my response to that is, no matter where I would be, we would be facing the same challenges, but boy, do I feel blessed and lucky to be here in a community that's so supportive and so understanding and so kind. And we have a lot of stuff ahead of us, Mel and Charlie, and to all our viewers, to all your viewers, a lot ahead of us. But you know, our approach has been together. We'll get through this, and I'm so impressed with our students who have adapted to you know, these dramatic changes. So I think as an island, as a community, we are resilient, and I'm beginning to learn what that really means as I experience it for myself. You know, for me, I'm originally from Massachusetts, but for the last 8 years, I was president of the College of Micronesia and FSM. So I have some experience with the Pacific Islands and the culture and the community. But 2 years ago, you know, I lost my wife. She passed away from brain cancer. So here it's been very, the experience where I was beginning to make connections in the community became very isolating, obviously, when we had the stay at home, work from home, and the quarantine. So I very much look forward to a time when we can begin to reach out and connect with our partners and other people in the community in a way that's safe. But I still get emails from people I haven't even met yet, welcoming me to the island and saying, you know, we hope you're doing well. We care about you. I mean, this is a remarkable place, Mel and Charlie. So what I say to folks is, if there was a place to be when such a pandemic hits, Kauai is the place. It has truly been a blessing to be here and be so embraced by folks that I have come to know, and even folks that I don't know yet, but have reached out. It's remarkable.
Hey, real quick, you remember a guy by the name of Senator Glenn Wakai?
Yes, I do.
He's
I
actually
do.
on. He's our guest tomorrow night on the show, but he just posted, Chancellor Joseph Daisy is fantastic. I worked with him when he was at the College of Micronesia in Pohnpei. KCC is lucky to have him. And there's many comments like that. I encourage you to go check my page later and check out the comments. So
I will,
Glenn
Mel.
says hi.
Yeah, that Senator Wakai is a true friend of the colleges in the Pacific and the other islands. He does such great work in supporting our efforts there. And I came to know the senator very well when I was president, and I'm happy to call him a colleague and a friend, and his words are very kind and very appreciated.
Well,
So
he'll be our guest tomorrow night. So
I'll tune in.
He's funny. He's actually a great guy. He's a funny guy.
Well, I love to watch his Facebook posts because it's like he's all over the world. It's like, okay, Senator, when are you working? You know, but it's wonderful. He's such a great inspiration to folks in terms of giving to others and caring for others. So I appreciate his comments and thank him for those kind words. So as for KCC and what we're facing, you know, the college, obviously, like so many others, pivoted in mid-March to deliver remote instruction. And while people struggled, they did the very best that they could. And I think everybody did a remarkable job, including our faculty and our staff delivering services and our students for just doing it. And folks had this attitude that no matter what it takes, we will, Joe, just ask us, whatever it takes, we will just do what we need to do to help our students be safe and to be successful. So for me, that just increased my level of pride in kind of having been selected as chancellor for Kauai Community College. These are folks that I have such tremendous respect for. And we're not out of this yet. And we have worked very hard since then for plans to come back in the fall. So our plan will be published on, I think by Friday, which will be our guidelines for how we come back and what people can expect in terms of wearing face coverings, social distancing, all of that. And, it's a work in progress, Mel and Charlie, because there's still a lot of concern about safety and health. And, what I said and I meet with our faculty and our staff every month. We do 2 all-campus meetings via Zoom. And what I say to them in those meetings is, we're a small community, but we're a smart group, and we will face each of the challenges that come our way together, and we will solve the problem or the problems as we face them. We can't anticipate every particular scenario, but we've run through a lot of them, the what ifs, and I think our plan is good. We've involved volunteers among the faculty and the staff to review drafts and make comments. So we're pretty close to rolling that out. Faculty will return soon. And then our first day of classes will be August 24th. And everybody, has taken the appropriate steps in our physical spaces to do the social distancing, to prepare for appropriate sanitizing of spaces. And we're really going to rely on our students to help us with that. We will be communicating with folks about, our expectations for personal responsibility. And I think we have a lot of evidence here in Kauai that people get it and they want to keep our island safe, particularly in light of increased cases in other parts of the state. We absolutely, want to pull together, and we look at our faculty and our staff and our students as all partners in coming together in a safe way to ensure that they can continue their studies and be successful. But we've also done a lot of planning in the event, for whatever reason, We want to be prepared for an increase in the possibility of cases. And if we have to pivot to remote instruction, we're ready to do that. Our faculty have been taking professional development voluntarily to prepare. And, so I think we're going to be in very good shape. As a campus, we still remain closed to the public, and that's a university decision. And that's really to ensure the health and safety of everybody who works and attends school on campus. But while we don't know what might happen, Mel and Charlie, we're prepared, I think, as best as we can to respond responsibly to potential new cases that might occur. We have protocols in place. We've involved security. We've followed CDC guidelines. We've been working with with the public health and Janet, and I feel as well as one can feel in a pandemic. I feel that we have done the planning and the thoughtful preparation to come back in a way that is safe and healthy for all of us, our students and our employees. So I know that's a long-winded response, but
now comes the tough part. Now comes the tough part. Charlie's ready with the questions.
Yeah.
Okay.
I guess question number one would be, has the school decided that they're going to, capacity-wise, will it be reduced? Class sizes, first of all. Is the classroom size reduced?
So what we've done, Charlie, is we're following the system guidelines, the university guidelines. So what we've done is we've looked at each class and worked with our instructors to have half of the class face-to-face, while at the same time the other half will be remote or via Zoom. And then on the other days, that'll flip. So the students that are Zoom will be face-to-face and likewise. We've also said to students that if you feel uncomfortable, you're nervous, you can opt to take the class, online or via Zoom. So we're trying to accommodate all of those questions and concerns, but thank you for your question.
Now, regarding well, I guess when we start, is all of the classrooms going to be occupied at one time? That's one half of the question. And are the teachers or doing temperature checks when they get to the classrooms? And then when during the changing of classes, will there be monitoring to make sure that social distance is always upheld? Because we know that sometimes once the bell rings, everybody like, hey, start talking story. How do you do in your first day? Next thing you know, that bubble is no longer that safety bubble anymore.
Right.
Are all of those things coming into play?
So in terms of the way we're spacing the class, so we'll have seats that will be dedicated for, say, the class that meets first in the morning. And then opposite seats will be provided for students in the next class. And then we will be asking folks to be sanitizing their area. So each classroom will have supplies so that they can clean and sanitize their respective areas. So from the first class to the second class, students will be sitting sort of in opposite seats. And then we will not be doing temperature checks. We're working right now, the whole university is working right now to develop an app where students will take that self-responsibility for doing their health check and then reporting in, and we believe it'll go to health officials in the university, reporting those results. So we're really relying on individuals to be applying the app, doing their own health check.
Okay. So I guess it sounds like the honor system. We'll have to
Yeah,
rely.
there's much of that, but we will be monitoring those students who are expected to be on class. So there will be a record. So if you're planning to be on campus for a class, you will have to do the health check, and that will somehow make its way. We're still working on it. Somehow make its way to our health professionals on campus.
Now, students, foreign students or students from off island or out of state,
Yes.
subjected to quarantine, will you folks have a way of monitoring that, or is that something within the UH system that they're working out when someone applies to come to KCC?
Right. So for Oahu and Kauai only, the mayors have approved this modified quarantine. And so for students who are coming to Kauai from out of state, and we don't have that many, or are on the mainland and returning to come to class, we have this option of a modified quarantine, which means other than attending classes, they have to remain in quarantine, the 14-day quarantine. The eligibility for that modified quarantine requires that they present a test, a COVID test taken 72 hours before they arrive back to the state, or within 48 hours of arriving in Kauai, that they have tested negative for COVID. If they are not able to produce that result, then they must quarantine for 14 days.
Okay, so we've had some experts on that kind of, and that Mel and I have been looking at, and we've allowed them to share with the viewers that the 72 hours and then requiring a secondary test probably 5 days after they arrive, because depending on during an incubation process, if you can be negative, but then you can start spurring up within a 5-day period. Will you folks require that after they touch down, taking a second test?
At this point, I don't think that's part of the plan, Charlie. I think if they can present the results that they tested, and it was a favorable result 72 hours before they return, then they still must quarantine, but the exemption is that they can attend class.
Or in any school function, correct? Any club, school activity, or
That's correct.
yeah. And then I think as we're watching the news develop every day, things are changing as the numbers grow, and this could all be different tomorrow. And
Absolutely, Mel.
Man, I tell you, it's like I was joking with the mayor a while back. I said, man, you come up, you become the mayor, you got all these plans, and I'm sure you were in the same boat, and then COVID comes, and then now it's just, I mean, all the plans, your original plans go out the window, because now you're dealing with a global pandemic. So hats off to all of you guys that's gotta steer your ship through this. One of the questions I had was, some people won't be able to wear masks. Some people, for medical reasons, or you get that group of people that believe it's their civil right not to wear a mask. How will the school or the college be dealing with that as it relates to other students in the class?
Yeah,
that may feel uncomfortable. I know earlier you said they will have an option to go online or via Zoom.
right. So our position at this point is that if a student refuses or doesn't want to wear a mask, their option is to take the class online. Now, if there's a medical reason why the student cannot wear a mask, that is still in discussion with the university's Office of General Counsel as to whether we either ask that student to take the class online, or we're also looking at providing face shields, which is which is not exactly, you know, scientifically proven to be safe, but there will need to be some exceptions to, you know, our some exceptions for students who have medical reasons why they cannot wear face coverings. So that's still in the works. So there hasn't been, I would say, clear direction on that. But I want everyone to know that we have purchased a sufficient supply of facial shields to ensure that we can meet any particular challenge that we might face in that area.
And then, God forbid, but a staff member or a student tests positive. I mean, we're seeing that happening now in some of the high schools, elementary schools that have already started, or at school events that now the students have tested positive. I'm assuming that you have a plan in place to deal with that as well.
Yeah, and Mel, that plan, which I alluded to earlier, which we've had a lot of feedback and involvement in, will also include various links to system guidelines, to CDC guidelines, to very specific procedures that we've established for reporting folks who might be evidencing symptoms, flu-like symptoms, all on campus, and in terms of the connection with public health and testing. So we're following, I mean, the university has done a very, very fine job, I think, of crafting some guidelines, and then each of the campuses have kind of tailored those for the sort of unique characteristics of our particular campus. But everything that we are proposing to do will be in line with the university's guidelines, with CDC, and with public health. And our plan, our hope, because we're almost there, is to roll those out and post those by Friday on our website.
Could it be considered, and this is just might be the 11th hour to bring this up, but could it be considered that the modified quarantine include that if they do show a negative on the 72 hours prior to arrival, then they go into quarantine for 14 days, right? But they can go to quarantine or class, come to class and go back to quarantine.
No, if they have a negative result, they cannot attend class. That is, in other words, they have to prove that they have a favorable test result 72 hours prior to arriving or 48 hours after arriving before they can exercise that modified quarantine option. And so it's
could they possibly exercise that quarantine for that period of time with the distant learning, you know, staying at home, quarantine,
yes, of course,
without and let the period run out so that they're absolutely safe. Then when it's done, then they can come back to class.
Yeah, and I've had some discussion, Charlie and Mel, with some parents who are basically saying, you know, I have a child who's coming back from the mainland from this event or that event, and you know, they've already done the research around testing, and it's challenging, you know, particularly with the increased numbers of cases in the state, and the fact that the tests generally require a doctor's order. When parents have been talking with me, I've said, listen, if it would be awful if your child came back, couldn't get a test, had to quarantine for 14 days and miss class. So the options are, please come back 14 days before the beginning of the semester, which would be August 24th, and do the quarantine, because, you know, we're hearing everywhere that it's difficult to get the test now. the results of the tests are not necessarily timely. And the option would be, if they can't get back 14 days prior to the beginning of the semester, consider taking the class online, which is an option for every one of our students.
Now, the mask wearing, going back to that, Mel and I have had this discussion before because we know some people, they suffer from asthma. It might be a little bit more difficult for them. But yet we know that this virus, it doesn't matter if you have asthma or you have just whatever, it's going to hang on and be, the student becomes a carrier. And heaven forbid you run across that situation. I think that's why a lot of the questions are geared to how do we put a block to that? So those who don't want to wear the mask, would they be able to attend a class, say if they challenge it for some reason, saying that, hey, this student cannot wear a mask for this reason, but they want to attend, that they put in, like, say, an isolation zone within the class so they can attend? Is that something that's been considered?
So we're looking at all of those options. So let me kind of step back a little bit. So there's a difference, I think, between a student who doesn't want to wear a mask. Those students must then opt to take the class online.
Okay.
Okay. And that's different from a student who has a medical exception. In other words, a medical reason why they can't wear the mask. And that's the area that's still being discussed with the Office of General Counsel, Charlie. In other words, can we, I think our approach would be to strongly suggest that student consider the online option. Or we're also, and again, this is pending guidance from the Office of General Counsel, whether we would provide a space in the classroom that might be blocked off by plexiglass for that particular student, so that student could attend in person, but yet not be potentially exposing other students. So that's an area that's still in discussion, but we are thinking about it and we're giving it serious thought.
Okay, thank you. No?
You know, time sure flies, Doc. I got, I was talking to one of your staff members. This guy Mahi I.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. Thank you for taking him at the college.
Yeah, he's our director of security.
Well,
really?
he did print out about 6 months ago, before the pandemic hit. He wrote a paper to the American journal, medical journal. He does have a medical background. I was really impressed, and I'm only kidding.
Oh,
well, I'll tell you this, and this is just an aside. When we went through the hurricane last weekend, he and members of my staff were there to man the shelter, and they did a phenomenal job. They went above and beyond the call of duty. He and Sherry and Cheryl and Calvin and I had the luxury of kind of being on call and remote, but Juno, everybody at the college who, they just stepped up and they were there for the whole time and helped the people that needed to shelter there because they couldn't be at home. So, just another example, Mel and Charlie, of just the extraordinary commitment of folks at KCC. It's just amazing.
Yeah, so I was talking to him today, and we're talking about what an opportunity for KCC. I think a lot of us went to KCC at one time or another. Before you came on, I will say my daughter graduated, got her associates at KCC, and now she's in Oregon. But what an opportunity now because of long distance learning, online learning, Zoom learning, all of these things, we can pretty much capture and grow our enrollment over there at KCC. That could be the the light. What is it? What the every cloud has a silver lining. Um, because now we can market KCC. I know when I was on the council, we did that special zoning bill that would allow dormitories potentially at KCC. Is that something down the road for Kauai Community College? We'll be able to house students, and I'm talking post COVID. This ain't gonna be around forever. But
Yeah,
I kind of wanted to, and just figure out, because KCC is a great school. It's an awesome opportunity for local kids here to get an
absolutely.
education at a very small fraction of the cost of going somewhere else. And it works. And I'm basically trying to tell all these kids. My son decided to go to the mainland first, right after high school. And that student loans are still present today. My
Yeah,
daughter went to KCC, did it on her own, never need mommy and daddy's help. So there's an opportunity for our local kids to get an education. And now more than ever, because of the online distance learning and all these fancy ways to get a degree, I guess if you could share with what options or opportunities are there for our local kids right here on Kauai.
Uh, so I think you captured it really well, Mel, in the sense that this pandemic I guess the upside, if there is an upside of this pandemic, is that a couple of things. One, it has provided a compelling case for people to reassess their future. I spoke with a number of young folks who were registering at the college, who told me that they had basically been for years within the tourism industry and had lost their jobs and had kind of realized that, they wanted more stability in their life. So they were coming back to school to retool. And interestingly enough, our enrollment is really doing well. About 2 months ago, I started tracking our enrollment for the fall, and we were behind by about 39%, which was just really concerning to me. And today and this week we are down under 1% in terms of where we were at the same time last year. So people are coming back; they're enrolling, both in the credit side and the continuing education side. So I think we will see a lot of folks coming back to continue their education and also to begin their education. And while online learning isn't for everyone, and we know that there are students who learn best face to face, we are committed to support those students in the event that we have to pivot back to remote learning. Our faculty also, not all of them were necessarily prepared for the remote learning, but they just jumped in and did it. And I think with our support staff reaching out to students, quite honestly, if you look at those numbers, Kauai Community College is leading the entire university, I think with the exception of maybe Manoa, in terms of enrollment. I'm very proud of the work that our student support services staff are doing in terms of reaching out to students. And I think that's really special about KCC and our relationship with our community and our students and the families that we serve, is there is that personal connection. So I'm very optimistic that we will continue to serve our students here and our community well. I ask that the community continue to support us, that our local county leaders continue, because I know they support us, to continue to support us, because the university is going to face challenging times, and we go the way of the state. So, budgets are going to be very challenging. And as long as our community continues to have faith in us and commits to us, I think we'll be able to continue to offer the programs and services to our students. I think we all understand that higher education is going to look very different on the other side of this. And I think that's where the online and the remote learning is going to sort of have a more prominent presence. I've always believed that every challenge provides an opportunity. And boy, we are challenged. So the challenge is great, but I think the opportunity is great. We've got a wonderful community, a very supportive community, great faculty and staff. And, I know that we're a smart group of people, and we'll figure this out and we'll get beyond it. But I know we will look different than we look now. And that may not necessarily be a bad thing. But it is going to be part of the reality of our future, and we'll cope with it. And this is as I said earlier, folks said to me, wow, you came on and you faced all these challenges. And my response was, yeah, but no matter where I would be, we'd be facing the same thing, and many places would be worse. So if there's a place to land and deal with a pandemic and all the challenges we're facing, wow, Kauai's a great place, very supportive and very helpful.
A couple of questions from the viewers. Number one, with the COVID pandemic in Hawaii, are there any new student aid, financial aid, COVID scholarships, anything like that our kids could benefit from?
Yeah, there's lots of aid, Mel, that has been provided. Some of it's come from CARES, the CARES Act 1, which is somewhere in the range of $267,000 that goes directly to students. There's also the University of Hawaii Foundation established an urgent relief fund that students could apply for. And we're also now providing, as a result of the university's Rapid Response Fund, additional support for students. So they can go on the website, they can reach out to our financial aid office or to our student affairs office. And we're expecting that there may be additional funds coming from the federal government in terms of aid to higher education. But yeah, those were 3 tranches of pretty significant financial aid and support for students. This recent fund is primarily directed to students who are affected by being either furloughed or unemployed. Students just need to reach out and look at the website or call us at the Student Affairs Office or Financial Aid, and we're happy to help support students who have financial aid or financial need as a result of the disruption caused by COVID.
I know you said your enrollment from the same time last year only dropped 1%. So I'm assuming that we didn't lose, or we didn't suffer any class cancellations or course cancellations due to enrollment.
Not yet. No, we're doing pretty well. I
Awesome.
would say that in areas where courses are low enrolled, we're trying to combine sections so those classes can continue to be offered, and faculty being very flexible and supportive in that. So I would say in regard to enrollment, we're doing really well. Our major concern obviously is what the budget is going to be coming from, the the governor, as everybody's kind of holding their breath and waiting.
Yeah, and I think everyone is gonna feel the pinch. Everyone, and it's just gonna be just one of the things we got to deal with.
Yeah.
Um, Best place to get in touch, website, financial aid. What is there a number that people can call? There's a lot of kids and a lot of parents on this call and throughout the week that'll be watched again.
Yeah.
I really want the people to reach out. Maybe is it too late already for this semester?
No.
You're starting up in fall, right?
Yeah. So our classes begin August 24th.
So it's not too late.
No, it's not too late at all.
What's the number?
So what I would say is just go to Kauai Community College. Go to the website, and that gives you all the information. Very soon, so within this week, we'll have the return to campus plan will be posted. The plan for the modified quarantine will be posted. And all the information that students and parents need to kind of navigate who to contact for what is already there. So hang in there. We're working hard to get all this information out to everybody this week.
Charlie, you have your electronic board that you put the information on. It's 245-8311. Sherry Amimoto is actually watching, and she just put up the number. 24583. Charlie has this high tech. I think he should be one of your professors at the school. He does this amazing high tech. He can transfer graphics and images right from his room.
And if I forgot to mention, Sherry was one of the folks that was there for the entire duration of the hurricane. She's the best. She just jumps in. You did mention does whatever needs to be done. We've just got a great team. We are so fortunate on this island, in this community, to have such caring and dedicated people. And coming from the outside, and I've only been here 7 months, but I'm coming to feel, accepted and feel like family. But boy, I'm just so impressed with the dedication of our employees. They're just.
Mel, what's the number, Mel? What's the number?
245-8311. He punches in his fancy keyboard. You're gonna like this, Chancellor. You're gonna like this. It's awesome.
Okay, can you share the screen? I've gotta load it up. Okay. Here we go. Okay.
Press the right button. Don't press the wrong button like you did the other day.
By the way, Mel and Charlie, you guys are the best. You want me to come on anytime for any updates, please invite me. I'm happy to join you. And I promise the next time I'll be on time.
Anyway, I'm glad you came on, because usually when we had one no-show, and I tell you what, oh my God, I let them have it. And then I found out that poor thing, went to the emergency room. She was sick, and I had to go apologize and take all of that bad stuff back.
Okay,
ready,
Mel.
Charles? Yep. Take it away, Charles. Watch this, Doc.
Yeah, you turned over the share screen.
Yes, I did. Go ahead.
Here you go. Bing.
Oh, that's high tech.
That's
wow. I'm impressed.
I gotta tell you, man. Charlie. I am almost. In fact, not even almost. I am tempted to go on the KCC website tonight, and my wife is gonna blow her mind. She's right there watching, and we may go take a course together. Yeah, let's go take a course. Look, she's freaking out, but
on what?
I don't know on what. You guys got all kinds of stuff going on over there.
We've got the credit side, we've got the non-credit side. Just,
yeah, we don't need credit. We all are in.
Yeah, give us a call. We'll find something for you. No, I'm signed up for next month to take a Hawaiian language course, so that I don't mess up when I try to pronounce Hawaiian words. I mean, I'm
and I gotta go take the English class.
Okay, Marianne.
Charles. Oh.
Yes, Marianne Manintin. She said, "I'm too slow. My machine is too slow. Forget that."
Yeah, Charlie, you need to add some bells and whistles to your technology there.
Well, we're doing one thing at a time. I just got a new backdrop. Okay. If you start from before this, I got a new backdrop. So
Yeah, I can
well,
take a
anyway,
botany course. Can I take a botany? You guys have a class in pickleball? Sherry
In what?
suggesting I take pickleball.
Pickleball. Yeah, we have a class in pickleball.
Well, that does it.
So
Charlie, let's go pickleball.
yeah, but
I
I'm allergic to pickles.
Well, you have to social distance. You have to wear your facial covering, and you have to have your own ball.
wouldn't know what
Those are the CDC guidelines.
Well,
I'll tell you, right now with COVID, the worst game to play because you got a social distance is tag. Because you get a lot of Portuguese play tag. I don't know. You can get one guy out the whole day. You're not gonna be able to catch the other guys.
I say the former mayor Bernard Cavallo and I went to a dedication or a blessing or something at a pickleball tournament at the Cala Hill gym. So Bernard and I teamed up and we played some two other people, and we did extremely well before we both collapsed and needed oxygen. So anyway, Charlie, any
No, I'd like to extend a personal thank you to you, sir, for coming on tonight. Thank you for sharing with us because there's been both in the college level as well as K through 12. There's always been this really it's been a worrisome anxiety of what's coming. And I always say parents they just are protective of their children and they don't want nothing to happen, but like we always say on our show that we hope that we can provide the info and educate, and whatever the people out there can use, fine. If this is not their cup of tea, then they don't have to listen to what's being displayed tonight. But I'm so glad you were able to clear up a lot of questions that a lot of the viewers had. So thank you very much, sir. Thank you.
Yeah, Charlie and Mel, it's my pleasure to join you. I'm willing to join you anytime for any conversation that helps folks kind of understand what's happening and to address their concerns. And I'll just say this: things are changing every day. And we're doing our best to respond to those changes. We want to do everything that we can to ensure that our faculty, our staff, our students, everybody that comes back to the college in the fall can do so in a safe manner. And as both of you have said earlier, everything's changing every day. All of that could change before we come back. But we're all working together to do what is responsible and the very best thing that we can do in the interest of health and safety for everyone. And it's been a real honor and privilege to join you and your viewers tonight to talk story. And I'm so grateful. It's nice to meet you both. I hope someday we'll actually be able to do this face to face. But let me know if there's anything that I can do as a follow-up to help you and your viewers to get the information that they need and want. Happy to do it anytime.
Well, thank you. I'm sure we'll be bringing you back as things develop, as we get closer to the semester. And we talk about all kinds of stuff on this show. I know I just see I guess we touched the nerve, Michael. Sorry, man. He says a lot of laughing people are dying. Listen up. We do this show to inform and educate. And yes, we infuse some humor in here every so often because it's good for the soul. And in fact, we got to deal with this COVID pandemic, and it's not always pretty. But we take a break. We bring on somebody like you, Chancellor, that can share opportunities for our kids, opportunities for our adults. And you damn right we're going to make jokes and laugh and have a good time while doing it. I mean, that's just the way it is. If you don't like it, like I said, this is the second criticism I got today online. The first one was, we're too far left. We're too far left. You only bring on, listen, this show is open to anyone that has something to offer. We bring them on. And because again, our theme is to inform and educate. So if you don't like it, don't watch. I mean, that's just the way it is. Sorry to be so blunt, but Charlie and I do this out of the goodness of our heart. We enjoy learning. We enjoy learning as well.
Yep.
So if you don't like our show, go watch TV or go start your own. Again, sorry to be so blunt, but I love humor. I'm a funny guy. I love to laugh. Charlie didn't laugh. He didn't. Thank God you never do your real laugh tonight, Charlie. Jesus Christ, we'd be in trouble. But Chancellor, I thank you. Appreciate what you're doing at the university.
Yeah, and Mel and Charlie, we to all of your viewers, we understand how serious this all is, and everybody at the college has been, and in the entire university, we take this very seriously. I mean, these are our children. These are our young people and our employees, our faculty, our staff. We understand that we are faced in this pandemic with life and death situations, and we take this all very seriously. And I know you do, because that's one of the reasons why you asked me to come on your show, is to share information to viewers who have concerns and want information. And we field calls from parents and from students and from the community every day. And we're there with everybody else. We have the same concerns, and with our K-12 partners as well. We understand all the challenges that everyone's facing. So I don't think any of us are taking this lightly, but we also need to try to temper it and have some balance. And for me, I've always seen myself as somebody who is optimistic and trying to look at the positive lessons that we may learn from all of this as we emerge on the other side. And that's the message I try to send to the campus that I have been so honored to be selected to serve as chancellor for Kauai Community College and the community. So never doubt that we take this our responsibility seriously, and we care deeply.
Well, thanks again, Chancellor. Condolences for the loss of your wife. It's a hard thing. Charlie lost his brother to COVID early on in New York City. Very personal to Charlie. He takes this very serious. He made it personal for all of us. We definitely do take this serious. I feel so much better tonight after this discussion with you as far as Kauai Community College is concerned. And I thank you for that. And I can promise you'll be back on as we move forward through this pandemic. So thank you very much. Tomorrow night at 7 p.m. we'll have Senator Glenn Wakai. Again, if you don't like laugh, don't come tomorrow night, because Senator Wakai, he's a funny guy too, with a very, very serious message. So if all of you guys join us tomorrow night, you will not regret it. 7 o'clock. We love you guys. God bless. We'll see you guys tomorrow. Aloha.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Chancellor.